So it's finally time to start a new sketchbook. So for the first page, I'm thinking more of character design, like I always do actually, because it's my comfort zone. Let's see how it's gonna turn out. So first of all, I am trying to draw in a sketchbook because it's been ages. It's been such a long time since I last even drawn anything like physically. So I am trying to integrate more of traditional medium into my work because it was the first thing that I did that I got into drawing, and it was amazing. It was like very challenging and engaging, and challenging in a way that when you draw something, when you're like adding color to something, it's gonna stay there. And you, instead of just erasing it, which you are gonna do when you're drawing in digital format, your mind goes toward solving the problem, not erasing the problem. So like, for example, if you just go out of the line a little bit when you're, like adding gouache to your painting, you're going to think of ways that you can just make that not a mistake, make that just like a very beautiful, flashy, creative part of your painting. It's that side of traditional drawing that I really love, and I cannot find it when I'm drawing digitally, because when you're drawing digitally, you're just trying to get a very perfect look. Basically, I would say that when you're drawing on a paper, it's like there's so much more scope for creativity. There's something amazing about how physical things makes us feel, about how it can just stimulate the brain in another way than digital, because you are much more immersed in it and you get to see how the light is interacting with your painting, with those colors that you just put on the canvas. And that's amazing. I would say like the part of it that I cannot get over is how beautiful and aesthetic it feels. It feels very tangible. You genuinely feel like you have actually accomplished something, which is not the case so much when you're drawing something digital. Because I don't know if it's just me, but like I feel deluded about how much I accomplish when I am drawing digitally, because I feel like it's just pixels on the screen and I don't feel the tangible result that I feel when I'm drawing on a paper. And it's amazing how that feel of accomplishment makes you even more creative, because now you're actually acknowledging the fact that you've done something beautiful and creative, and that feeling of actually being able of creativity is gonna further emanate even more creativity. And it's just like really magical to me how it makes you even more creative. So I would say that if you're drawing digitally, sometimes try to incorporate a bit of physical drawing, like drawing on a canvas or a piece of paper, or just filling up the sketchbook, because that's really needed. In my opinion, you can't really go without traditional drawing, because it really revives the beautiful sense of novelty in your mind. I don't know what it is, but like the thing that you do with your hand, it makes you even more creative. Even like handwriting, I would say like when I'm writing on a piece of paper, I'm feeling much more creative than when I'm typing on my computer. And that's exactly how I figured. Like I started switching to just like trying to take notes on my notebook instead of just going to the note app on my iPad or opening up an app on my laptop. Instead of that, I just go on and jot down on a piece of paper, and it feels so much more refreshing, and it feels like I actually am living in a creative way. It doesn't feel like, yeah, it's gone. The fact that you can see it, that you can see something that you've just created, that you just documented in the case of notebook, it's like so freaking dopaminergic. And I think, and I don't know actually if there's any scientific truth to it, but like I feel that sense of accomplishment, I feel like it releases more serotonin. But I think that there's something happening that is different from a digital format. And I feel like this is actually the problem with us in this whole society, how we choose to live, like living inside of a box, which is like actually a triangle, our phone. And that scares me because I feel like we are missing out on a lot. We are missing out on so much ideas and creative stimuli, which is only gonna happen if we pay attention to our surroundings, if we actually come to make something tangible with our hand, like drawing something or sculpting or knitting, or I don't know, whatever you do, crocheting, whatever is your preferred way of creativity. You are much more able to come up with ideas when you're using your hand and you're doing it physically. If you are a writer, then go on and like write in a notebook instead of just like trying to be even more digital. Like try to have a physical journal so that you can capture your ideas. It's gonna be always with you. And I know that like digital has its own benefit because you can categorize it, you can search through it, and there's so many things that is much more faster and much more efficient. But I think that in order for us to actually be more creative and come up with ideas even more, we have to use all senses to make something novel and pristine. And one other thing that I absolutely needed to do was to not think about this sketchbook as like something that I need to be fearful about. I told myself that I'm just going to make the sketchbook as a capture of idea, and it's going to be a documentation to document my processes, to document my creativity, and I can go freely. When your mindset is free of any fear toward the result, you're absolutely going to be inclined to make up things that are weird and novel, and you're going to be able to create even more stuff. And that's a very great mindset that I always remind myself to have. It doesn't really matter what it is, I have to have that mindset. Otherwise, I'm just gonna feel very pressured to make something perfect. And if your perfectionist self is activated, you're only going to postpone, you're only going to just leave it be and try to come up with better ideas. Perfect the idea first and plan a lot, and that's not gonna work. You almost always need the spontaneity to be creative. And I always have this analogy in my head that I call the sketchbook drawings like an improv. I just start and I add something to it, and like the page is gonna be full of just creative ideas just because I started with one circle. And that's like how improv works. I think I talked about it in other videos, like very old videos of mine, and I said, not that old actually, just a few months old, and I said that it's very important to sometimes have this practice of drawing a circle and then decide to add more features to it. You figure out how to draw the hair, you figure out how to draw the torso. You're not sketching the whole body, you're just like starting from one circle. So this way you're just starting from scratch and everything can be decided step by step. You're breaking this huge concept of the drawing that you want to draw into those pieces of different features of the face and different features of the body. And that's how you go about it. You're not scared of like coming up with the whole idea altogether. You're just going as you naturally do. It's just about trusting yourself and having belief in yourself. And I think that like a huge part of drawing and how it's going to turn out is determined by how you believe that you're going to be able to do that. I actually noticed that whenever I have this belief of I am feeling really creative and I think I can do this, in those moments, like I am going to go into the flow state right away, and it's just going to like be really easy for me to draw, because I had the mindset before I even go to the drawing. I have this mindset of knowing that I can do the drawing, knowing what I want to get out of the drawing, knowing how creative I am feeling, knowing that I am inspired by a certain thing. So those inspirations are also actually coming from different sources. Like it can be a passage from a book, it can be like a color that I've seen in a movie, it can be a scene out of a movie, it can be anything that really gravitates me toward itself and I feel inspired by it. I kind of like want to further investigate what is it about those things that I am inspired by it, so that I can draw something from it and put it into my drawings. And that's how like you can use your sketchbook by having a stitch of different ideas documented in your sketchbook. I think that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed me drawing, and thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and have a good day. Stay creative.